You are about to listen to SCW, the wrestling podcast, here on SCW, the wrestling channel, here on YouTube.com. Before I pass you over to George and LEP GM Jonjo Obrey, I'm going to ask quickly just to like, share the video. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Keep up to date with all news bulletins as they're posted on this YouTube channel. Now, if you are a fan of LEP Wrestling, this is definitely the podcast for you. Mass reveal regarding Dead Man's Hand. This past show at the Windmill Center for Ruthless Aggression. It is now time for the review. And of course, Jonjo Obrey was put through a table at that event as well. You're going to get his first comments and thoughts during this podcast right now of the show, what happened, and also get some reaction. So without further ado, George, take it away.
Hello, welcome back to the SCW Wrestling Podcast right here on Facebook.com and YouTube.com. Once again, it's time for your exclusive Limited Edition Pro Wrestling show review. And once again, I'm here today with none other than the General Manager, Limited Edition Pro Wrestling, Mr. Jonjo Obrey. And we're going to review this past Saturday's Ruthless Aggression from the Windmill Centre in Torquay. How are you this evening, Jonjo?
I'm not too bad, thank you, George. How are you?
Very well. It's a bit miserable, wet and miserable outside. I think it reflects the mood of the week, so to speak. What do you reckon?
Oh, yeah, I definitely agree. It's very fitting for, let's just say it's very fitting, yes.
Yeah, no problem. So let's get straight into the show. So the show started with the Academy title. It was going to be a match between Dead Man's Hand, the Sinister One, Draven, and the current LEP Academy champion, the Reject Blake Harrison. This was a match you'd sort of arranged via Facebook, and I thought it was a really good idea to try and get Dead Man's Hand members against each other. What sort of made you book these two together?
Oh, well, they were fighting like a couple of girls, you know what I mean? They were all over social media embarrassing themselves, a fight within Dead Man's Hand. How am I not going to capitalise on that? They're stupid. They must have known I was going to capitalise on that, and that's exactly what I did. I saw the arguments, I saw there was tension and anger, and I thought, you know what, why not poke the fire? Poke the fire that's already raging, let's make it even worse. So, yeah, I decided to book them in a match.
Definitely. So they came out separately, they were clear at each other's throats. You could see them quarrelling like two old people across the ring, basically bickering. It was quite entertaining to see. It was a bit like a pantomime. And then that wasn't all. You then put down your ace card, so to speak. You then announced that there'd be a third member of this match, and it would be a triple threat match. You then announced that the Mad Dog, Vinny Clay, would be part of this match. I thought that was a really genius idea. Clearly, Vinny Clay deserved his place in this match. What made you sort of put Vinny Clay in the match?
Well, I thought, it's very rare that... this is going to sound weird because it was a triple threat match, but it's very rare that Vinny gets a one-on-one match with someone in Dead Man's Hand. So I thought to myself, well, why not make the most of this? They were at loggerheads. They are arguing. They are angry with each other. So they're going to focus more on each other. And Vinny could just sit back and watch everything happen and then, pick his spots as and when he chose. I thought it was a great idea to put Vinny straight in there, but I didn't want to announce it. I just wanted it to be a nice surprise for everyone, and even an even bigger surprise for Blake and Draven.
What made me laugh is, so Vinny was announced, Vinny came out, and Draven and the Reject Blake Harrison was so caught up in what they were doing and arguing, they didn't even notice him come out, and I thought you could tell it was almost tension, so much tension there that it was almost going to explode. So clearly Draven and Blake were arguing. Vinny Clay then double closed and landed from behind. At some point during the match, Draven and Blake started to work together. It didn't last very long. This then basically orchestrated a body slam contest where they were both trying to outdo each other who could body slam Vinny Clay most. There was once again another fallout between Draven and Blake Harrison. Draven showed quite a lot of technical skills. He's clearly improving. I was really impressed with Draven this match. I thought as much as I don't like to say it, I thought he really held his own, really. I thought this was a really, really good match. Draven and Blake once again scrapped, and it looked like we might have a new Academy champion, but from nowhere, the Reject somehow or another pinned Draven after a Death Valley driver. I was amazed to see the Reject come out of his LEP Academy title again. Were you?
Yeah, I thought for sure this time Vinny was going to have it. This is why I put him in the match. I thought this is the perfect time for him to take it. This is they're at loggerheads. They're arguing. What better way to put him in a match? But the problem is, I will say on Vinny's downfall to that match, as I would say, it's nothing that bad, but he didn't pick and choose his spots. He didn't really. He went straight in there. He didn't let them fight it out, so to speak, and start attacking each other. That if it was me, I would have let them carry on arguing when I was coming to the ring, and I would have let them, because eventually they would have traded off, and that's when I would have, just, I don't know, I might have stayed outside the ring for a bit. I might have pulled up a chair, gone and grabbed a can of Coke, and just watched everything unfold until it was my time to get in there. Unfortunately, Vinny isn't like that. He's all about fists in action, and he loves getting straight into the fight, which isn't a bad thing. It is a good thing. But I think just with the way Blake Harrison and Draven were towards each other, it would have been clever to, just pick and choose his spots.
Yeah, definitely. I think clearly the Mad Dog is very tenacious. He was just trying to take both of them on. At times, this match almost was like a handicap match. The highlight, though, sort of came after the match. So you had Draven and Blake arguing and bickering. It was going to kick off yet again. Then from out of nowhere, Dead Man's Hand music hits, and out comes the enforcer Jago and the British thug Scott Johns to break him up. And they both grabbed him in the corner. It looked like it was going to be a total war. You must have been enjoying the chaos that was in the ring at that point.
I was loving it. I was grinning from ear to ear. It was great to see. They've got a lot of influence, though. I've noticed, have Enforcer, Jago, and British Thug. They seem to have a lot of influence in Dead Man's Hand. Whether they're the Master of Shadows' right-hand men, I don't know. But they seem to have a lot of influence over, Draven and Blake Harrison, and they listened. Even though they were still arguing, it took them a little while to calm them down. They listened, they left. And yeah, that was down to Scott and Jago. So, they seem to have a lot of influence in Dead Man's Hand, which is worrying because they're not exactly small guys and they're not exactly, nice. So, very nasty, very big, so don't want to get on the wrong side of them.
No, definitely. I think looking at this as well, there's quite an iconic statement was made. So the British thug said to Blake, "Remember who you fight for, remember what we're here for." And that was rather cryptic. I thought that clearly that was said. It was almost like he snapped his fingers and Blake and Draven immediately responded to it. Clearly, whatever subliminal messages were said during this, they seemed to respond to that, didn't they?
Yeah, I've always said it seems that there's some brainwashing techniques going on. You hear about it all the time, conspiracy theories and all that. You hear about brainwashing, and I'm starting to see that, this is what's happened here because, like I said, I knew Blake for a long time, for a while before he became Dead Man's Hand. Same with Jago. Scott's always been nasty. He's more of a mercenary. Is Scott? He'll go where the money is. He'll go where the big fight is. If he can beat someone up, that's what he loves to do. But yeah, it just seems that there are certain things that get said, and all of a sudden they snap into something. They seem to just snap into some form of chat. It's really, really strange to see. But yeah, there's definitely something else in Dead Man's Hand.
Yeah, definitely. We then had an announcement that there was due to be a match between Shane Palmer and Reggie Ryan. An announcement was made. Unfortunately, Reggie Ryan was put in hospital. Once again, he seemed to be attacked by somebody, and he couldn't appear at the show. Pretty cryptic that he keeps getting attacked, isn't it? It's rather worrying that whoever's attacking Reggie Ryan is obviously having a permanent impact on him being able to come to sort of the events and stuff. Something has to be done eventually, doesn't it?
Sorry, say that again, mate.
I was going to say something has to be done eventually to stop sort of people being put in hospital, such as Reggie Ryan. So they put in hospital so they can't come and compete in LEP, so to speak.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry about that. It's something cut out then. But yeah, definitely, I agree. Something does need to happen, but it's very hard when you're at a show to try and control what goes on outside of the show, because we all live in different areas. We don't live near each other, all this kind of thing, So, yeah, it's very hard. I can't really think at the moment. It's trying to think of what to do. Trying to think to come up with something to stop this from happening. To stop, outside of the arena and stuff. But when they're on the way to shows, Mark and De Niro, it's like 2 injuries. It's not good.
No, definitely. I was going to say, we then had Shane Palmer, the Phoenix Kid, come out, and it was almost like an open challenge, and out stepped the returning Romney Rocco. Romney Rocco challenged Shane Palmer to put his title on the line, and Shane said, "We'll do this, but whoever wins this will be #1 contender to the Academy title." And this was a really, really good match. Clearly, Romney Rocco and Shane Palmer wrestled numerous times. It was really nice to see these two lock up again. And they showed the potential future they had. They're clearly both fantastic wrestlers. Some of the highlights of this match are Romney Rocco continues showing a vicious side, trying to submit Shane Palmer. And Shane Palmer's basically relentless. He never giving up, clearly trying it. Shane Palmer did finally get the win with a sit-out spinebuster, which looked rather awesome. What did you make of this match? Clearly this was rather exciting, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a really good match. Both guys are showing, what they've learned in the last, Rocco in the last 2 years, Shane in the last 3 years. They're getting better and better. There's a reason why they're on the Academy show, because they're great at what they do, and they really showed that they work well together. So I definitely want to see that again. I reckon Rocco could do it. It's so tough, because they're both just as good as each other. So whenever they get in the ring, I never know who's going to win. I wasn't sure if it was going to be Shane or Rocco that night. So, yeah, great match from the juniors.
Yeah, definitely. And what this means is the Phoenix Kid Shane Palmer will now be facing the reject Blake Harrison for the Academy title. I actually think Shane Palmer's got a really good chance. Clearly, Shane Palmer's been champion before of the Academy. I think he's got a really good chance. He could be finally the person to beat the reject Blake Harrison and take that belt back to LEP. What do you reckon?
Yeah, he could be the one to do it. He's on fire at the moment. I believe he's pretty. Apart from the LEP Championship tournament, before then he was undefeated. Like from I think near enough the start of the year to a couple of months ago. He's only lost one fight since then as well. So it's like he's on fire. He could be the one to do it.
Definitely. We then had the LEP quarter-final World Heavyweight Title Weight Tournament match between the British Thug Scott Johns and the Punisher Mark Walsh. Scott Johns came out. He was awfully happy, which was really strange. It made me think something weird was going on. Once again, Mark Walsh's music hits. Nobody comes out. Scott's in the ring laughing hysterically. I've never seen him looking like he's having a great time. You then go out to the back, Jonjo, and try and find Mark. And you said he's not there. Once again, his music hits, nothing. And then basically, the British Thug calls you into the ring and says, put me through. I want you to, after the count of 10, to put me through and announce me as winning this match. You say to the British Thug, give me to the end of the night, to make a decision, which I think was the best thing to do. What do you think is sort of going on with Mark? And is this continually sort of being attacked by Dead Man's Hand and stopping him coming to events? It's rather worrying that they seem to be able to stop him coming to these shows so far recently.
Yeah, unfortunately, we found out that he'd been taken into hospital with some damage to his shoulder and a couple of his ribs. But it's like I say, this keeps happening. This is two months in a row now that this has happened, and we have got to try and stop it, because who else are they going to target?
Definitely. We then had another quarter-final Academy World Heavyweight title match, and that was basically between the Rocker John Harden returning and Charlie Winston. And this was fantastic. I can see why you picked Charlie Winston. This guy has got such a presence. I think 6'9", he looked a psychopath. Clearly, he scared the crowd. He scared me. He was ruthless in the ring with bear hugs, power moves, and devastating in the ring. I think it was great to see the Rocker John Harding return, but I think the Rocker clearly couldn't deal with Charlie Winston. Charlie Winston looked like he could be one of the contenders to win this whole tournament. What did you make of Charlie Winston, that debut? It was impressive.
There was a reason I picked Charlie to be in the LEP Championship tournament, and he proved why he should be in the LEP Championship tournament and why he should have the gold round his waist. He was phenomenal. He's a big guy. I didn't realise how big he was until he stood in the ring with John Harding. And John Harding isn't exactly small. He's about my height. He's not, a short guy. So it just shows how big Charlie Winston was and the power behind him. John gave it all he got. I will say that he gave it his all. He tried everything. But nothing. He had to dish out a lot just to get Charlie down to his knees. let alone the shoulders to the mat. So, but I will say, there were times where I thought John was going to win it. The veteran inside him, he knows all the tricks of the trade and everything, and I thought he was going to pick up the win. But Charlie proved, that he's the real deal.
Clearly, Charlie getting a win with a body slam. So we've got Charlie Winston now advancing in the LEP World Heavyweight Title Tournament. Really interesting to see how far he can go in the tournament. Clearly, he's a menace. I'd quite like to see him in LEP again, but I wouldn't want to be facing him in the ring, that's for sure. We then had one of our main events of the evening. We then had a return match of Ruthless Ruth Jackson versus Adira. This was a really, really exciting match. I thought clearly there was a lot of hatred there. It was so great to see the War Machine not present. That meant it was a one-on-one match. And clearly both these two women basically had a massive war, a massive battle. Adira executed a T-bone suplex. Ruthless executed a Dirty Deeds DDT. Adira executed a brutal sit-down powerbomb, which looked absolutely horrific. It looked so painful. I was amazed that Ruthless was able to get up. The finish of the match ultimately was when Ruthless went for that chair again. And it's almost like the chair was cornered. It's almost like the chair was speaking to her. You have to take me to get the chair. And I'm thinking, not again. Miraculously, Adira dodged the chair shot and was able to execute one of the most brutal spears I've ever seen. And was then able to get the pinfall. What did you think of this match?
Yeah, great match. There was a reason I put them together again. This is going to be a very, very long rivalry. I feel that these girls could fight forever, so to speak. So, Ruthless Ruth, ruthless as ever, as you could tell from the match. Adira, strong, powerhouse. It was a phenomenal match. Some of the shots I could hear from the back of the room where I was stood at the match table. That they know these women know how to hit hard.
Definitely. I was going to say, this clearly was a fantastic match. So now we're tied at 1-1. You then made a very massive statement that would shape the whole reigns of LEP. Please, can you repeat this announcement for the listeners that may not have been in the show?
I feel that there's not much in the Southwest for women wrestlers. I believe if you go further up north, you get more of a chance up there. But down here, there's not a lot. And I noticed the promotions around, none of them. Maybe one promotion, which is Big League Wrestling, has a women's championship. So I decided that September 23rd, we would crown a new first ever LEP women's champion. And obviously, the two fighting for that championship is going to be Adira and Ruthless Ruth Jackson for the LEP women's title, September 23rd at the Windmill Centre, Torquay.
Wow, that's going to be really, really exciting. Clearly, we're going to have part 3 of this epic feud. I just hope that clearly it's 1-on-1 again, because 1-on-1 was clearly the best way to settle this, so to speak. But no, whoever wins that's going to be the most deserving women, that's for sure. I'm really looking forward to seeing that. We then had our main event, which was the LEP World Heavyweight Semi-Finalists. The powerhouse, Gaz Norks, facing a mystery person. The mystery person actually turned out, so you've been doing some calls and you managed to get somebody returning to LEP. Who was it you got in the main event, and how did you arrange that?
Well, I needed someone who could take Gaz Norks to the limit, and I wanted to see if Gaz Norks had what it took to see if he was worthy enough to be in the LEP Championship tournament. I wanted to prove to everyone, because I've had a lot of people, let's just say off the script, I've had people telling me that I shouldn't be backing someone, that I shouldn't be picking a favourite in the tournament. And I'll be honest, yeah, I picked a favourite in this tournament, and yeah, I'm backing a guy to win, and that guy's Gaz Norks. The only time I shouldn't be doing stuff like that is if I interfere and cause Gaz Norks to win, which I am not going to do. I am not going to do that. I just feel that he's a hot favourite in this tournament, a favourite of mine. That's why I've put him in this tournament. He's big, he's, bad, and we need a champion like that. But I needed to see if he had what it took. So, and to show everyone that he has what it takes. So, I made a call once again. He was willing to come down. He had a bit of free time on his hands, and that was the former LEP champion, Luke Dragon Phoenix.
What a match! What a person to announce the return, so to speak. So clearly, Gaznox came out to a fantastic reaction. Clearly, he's really reacting well with the crowd. He's really a crowd favourite of LEP. Luke came out and got a fantastic reaction. He was so kind to the crowd. He even saw a little kid and put him up and encouraged him to get in the ring and was really sort of giving the crowd high fives, really sort of having a great time. It looked like the crowd, this was 2 fan favourites. Looking forward to seeing this match, I was. And this started really well. Both of them shook hands. Gaz executed a brilliant gut wrench suplex. Then it started going a bit dark, and Luke started targeting Gaznox's knee. Well, not just about targeting it, but being really aggressive, almost trying to break his knee. And then next thing you know, Luke's then taunting the crowd. He's then going back on what he said earlier. They said, I was the champion before. You've almost forgot me. What do you think of your so-called hero now? And all this like Luke was getting really aggressive and just really dark, really. And luckily, someone other, Gaz executed a spine blast and a fantastic F5 to basically get the win. What did you make of this new dark side of Luke Phoenix? How 1 minute you can go from being really happy and a real nice person to be around to second time round or later in the match almost being a total nightmare, really.
Well, I'm hoping it was just frustration, because I know Luke Dragon Phoenix, he helps to train a lot of the guys down at the academy on Tuesdays. He's always willing to give knowledge out and advice and, watching to see what people are doing, giving advice on what they can do with the footwork and, loads of stuff like that. He's genuinely a nice guy, so I'm hoping that was just frustration. I really do, and that he was getting frustrated that he couldn't take down this guy that he'd never wrestled before, that he'd never, he'd never really spoken to before. So it was interesting to see. I'm not sure I'm a fan of the darker side of Dragon Phoenix, to be honest with you, but yeah, I'm like I say, hopefully it's just frustration because I know Luke and I think it was just frustration. I really do.
I know that he clearly lost his mind almost because even at the end when Gaznox, even after the way he'd been treated, offered a handshake, Luke was going to shake it and goes no, and then snubbed it and then really sort of had a go at the crowd, then stormed off. I've never seen Luke Phoenix this way. Hopefully it's just sheer frustration, but this was a fantastic main event. We then came to almost the elephant in the room, so to speak. You came out and said that September 23rd it will be Mark Walsh versus the British Father Scott Johns. We are going to have this quarter-final match. And next thing you know, you started speaking. Then your microphone went, and I'm thinking, what the hell's going on? Next thing you know, out steps LEP owner, commissioner, Danny Walsh. Pretty much Danny Walsh steps out. And I'm thinking, why is Danny there? Is Danny here to congratulate Joe? Joe just made a fantastic show for all LEP fans. I thought it was a really good show. I thought it was something really exciting.
Thank you, George. That actually means a lot. Thank you.
And next thing you know, Danny almost callously started questioning you. He goes, it's your fault that wrestlers are injured. It's your fault that you haven't got rid of Dead Man's Hand. It's your fault that Luke Phoenix can now appear on shows and that he had to vacate the title when he's now able to appear on shows. It's your fault that people are injured. He just literally blamed you for loads of stuff that was pretty outrageous, really, I thought. What were your thoughts when Danny came out before we go into what transpired next?
My thoughts? Well, I can tell you what I've been thinking since, but my thoughts then, what the hell? I don't know, George, I'll be honest. I don't know what I was thinking at that point. I was a bit confused. I'm going to say upset with because I've known Danny for a long time. He's a very good friend, not only a mentor, very, very good friend. And I was surprised to hear all that, I'll be honest.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to say, and then it got heated. You said to Danny, well, don't do that. You need to back down. You've been totally out of order. And Danny says you'll get what's coming to you. Next thing you know, we hear some really, really familiar music. Dead Man's Hand theme tune plays, and I'm thinking, what the hell's going on here? What are they doing? Why are they coming to the ring? Clearly you and Danny are having a one-to-one conversation concerning the future of New Magician Pro Wrestling, and Dead Man's Hand chose to make their presence or come out, really. So they came out. The reject Blake Harrison was carrying a table for some reason or another. and it got heated between you and Danny. They stepped into the ring. They were threatening both Danny and yourself. Next thing you know, Scott Johns, the British Thug, then speared you through the table. And I'm thinking, what the hell? What the hell's going on here? Why wasn't Danny protecting you? Why wasn't this? What was your reaction when they came out before we go into sort of the spear and stuff and the treachery that follows?
Well, I'll let you know. First off, just to let everyone know, it wasn't a spear, that I could have kind of handled, but it was a choke slam from the Thug. That table. Now, when I heard that music, obviously I knew something bad was going to happen. I didn't really think something bad was going to happen to me, and I shouldn't have been so stupid. I should have realised that something was wrong. And, well, I knew something was wrong, but something was going to happen. Bad was going to happen to me. And then I saw the table, and I did instantly think, one of us are going through that. I looked at Danny, and I thought, there was nothing we could do. We were surrounded. And I knew one of us was going through it. I shouldn't have been so stupid, but I didn't think it was going to be me. And lo and behold, Scott Johns grabbed me by the throat, hoisted me up 7 feet in the air, and drove me through that table.
I've got to admit, the reaction when I saw you through the table, I was shocked. I've got to admit, SCW have been doing their own investigation into Dead Man's Hand and obviously the members and stuff like that. And we had a little tip-off that we thought that you were ultimately going to be the Master of Shadows. We believed that you were kind of really going to be the person underneath that we would have to sort of not do podcasts with anymore and stuff like this. But the fact that we owe you an apology, I hope you accept the apology from SCW. Clearly, whoever our sources were are not correct, so we all look to try and find them or something.
Let's put it that way. Sources, I mean, you just saying, we had an inkling it was you and all that. My God, I mean, I've had a crusade against them. I haven't been able to do much until now because I haven't been general manager for that long. I've just been a humble announcer and referee, but it doesn't mean I haven't been trying to get Danny, believe it or not, get Danny on side, and now I know why he was never on side.
Yeah, let's get into this then. Let's get into the most treacherous moment in LEP history. So you've gone through the table after the chokeslam, and you've got Dead Man's Hand surrounding Danny, and I'm thinking, Danny, you need to do something. This is something that was long overdue. You're going to literally be attacked. This is your promotion. These guys hate LEP, anything to do with LEP. Next thing you know, Danny's there, laughing, having a great time, and Dead Man's Hand are then bowing down to him, and I'm thinking, well, what the hell's going on? This can't be right. There's got to be something going on here. Then from out of nowhere, one of them presents the golden mask, the actual Master of Shadows and Puppet Master's golden mask. The mask has been terrorising LEP for over a year now, and I'm thinking, like, well, why is this mask been presented? Next thing you know, Danny takes the mask, looks at it, and is having a great time. It's almost like he's winning a trophy, and the ultimate shock's then revealed. Danny has been the Master of Shadows the whole time. Danny has been the Puppet Master. Danny's the one that's been pulling the strings all this time. When we're thinking somebody else might be doing it, whether that be you or whoever else, Danny's the one that's been leading Dead Man's Hand to destroy this promotion. And what's your thoughts on this? This is the ultimate betrayal, surely, in LEP.
You're damn right it is. You're damn right it is. You know what? It makes me angry every time I hear it. It frustrates me every time I watch it back on tapes, and I'm just going to cut the crap right now. This isn't a review anymore. This isn't a podcast anymore. This isn't Jonjo Obrey anymore. This is Joe Obrey speaking to Dan Walsh. Now, what you did and the pain you caused everyone, over the last 12 to 18 months. Why? That's what we want to know, is why. Why did you decide to put a group like this together? Why did you decide to turn your back on every single person that has ever walked into that academy, that is even if they're not around now, the likes of Maximo Jr. and Jack Union, they're not around anymore, but yet you've still spat in their face. You've still walked all over them. It wasn't just me that was in pain that night. It was every single guy that has looked up to you as a mentor, that's looked up to you as somewhat, let's call it a father figure, so to speak. The advice you give everyone, you know, it's all been a lie. You've been playing every single goddamn one of us. And I don't understand it.
Yeah.
I don't understand why. Why do this to your company? Danny, I know you're going to be listening to this. And I don't care if Dead Man's Hand are listening to this as well. I don't care if you're all together laughing it up. You need to give everyone, LEP, staff, wrestler, fans, you need to give everyone answers. And you need to do it soon. Because if you don't, we'll get the answers out of you. You ain't got long to give us answers. Because I'm pretty boiled up. I'm pretty angry myself. You know, I've been laid up here. I've had bruised ribs. I've had my shoulder popped out of place. I haven't been able to pick up my boy at all this week because of you. Scott Johns may have been the one to put me through a table, but it was you. You did all of this to me. Concussion. I still can't hold my boy. You know, it's getting better. You know, don't get me wrong. By the end of the week, I'll be back to normal. But all week, I haven't been able to do anything. I've been laid up in bed. I had to go to the hospital, minor concussion, bruised ribs, shoulder popped out of place. I looked up and I saw them kneeling at your feet, and I never thought I'd see that. So, Danny, like I said, I know you're listening to this.
Definitely, you can hear the anger.
You need to give us answers.
I agree with you. You give the anger. I think the thing is, there are a couple of clues that perhaps we should have sussed quicker. SCW should have sussed it. I think Vinny Clay, the Mad Dog, was on the money. Clearly, going back a few shows now, Vinny said to Danny Walsh about Dead Man's Hand, he goes, I can't help with this right now. That was a massive, weird situation, which we basically queried about that, which we never got an answer. And I think the clue was, look at Dead Man's Hand's status. 24th of August, Dead Man's Hand did a status threatening you, saying, you're making a huge mistake, Mr. Obrey, putting my brothers against each other. Maybe it's time for someone to step in the light. That there, for me, indicated, or it's clearly what's going to happen. The light was him coming and being revealed as the Puppet Master. But what I can't get over is the way and the treachery that he's done that to you, the way they've invaded this podcast before, the way that I thought this guy was my friend, the way that these guys use video messages, weird messages, come in masks, come from the entrances. It's just really, really odd. It's something I never thought we'd see, and I don't think it'd be Danny Walsh behind it. Why do you think they've gone to this extent to try and protect their identity? And why do you think now they've sort of revealed themselves as who they are?
Because they've got the power. You know, I don't know what happened or why. You know, I couldn't care less. Do you know what I mean? I said this isn't a podcast anymore. I'm not interested in answering questions. I want questions answered. I want my questions answered. I want everyone's questions answered. I couldn't give a toss whether there were, you know, people had inklings or whether people were trying to guess or investigations. I couldn't give a damn because not one person sussed it out. All fooled. So, George, I'm going to be honest. Right now, I want to end this podcast. I want to end it. I just want to end it on this, and I want to get answers out of Danny Walsh, and he ain't got long. Okay. Let's put it that way. I'm done, George. Sorry.
Okay, what we're going to do, we are going to end the SCW podcast review of LEP Ruthless Aggression. Don't forget to check out the next LEP show. When can we expect to sort of see a more positive Jonjo? Will we see that at the next show?
It depends whether I get my answers.
Okay, for everyone that's listening, please announce when your next show is, just in case. Obviously, we're all going to be in attendance, including SCW as well. Please announce when your next show is before we end the podcast.
Yeah, I can at least do that for you. It'll be September 23rd, Windmill Centre, Torquay. Get down there, get your tickets now, because I guarantee we'll sell out.
Brilliant. I'm going to bring this to an end. It's an unfortunate end to the SCW review. I apologise, obviously, the way and the language and the way things have gone. Clearly, we are rather all crestfallen with this. But thank you for listening. I've been your host, George Jones. I've been joined by the General Manager, Jonjo Obrey. There's one last thing I want to announce, so don't worry, LEP fans. Jonjo has got a 1-year contract, so Danny won't be able to sack him at the moment, which is positive. Hopefully you use that year, though, to get rid of Dead Man's Hand, we pray. But thank you for coming on, Jonjo. I hope you feel better soon, and I'm sorry to hear you're so angry. But this is to you, Danny. You will get what's coming to you, whether you like it or not. Do you agree, Jonjo?
That's it. You said it perfectly.
Thank you for listening. This has been the SCW Wrestling Podcast. Ruthless Aggression. Thank you for listening.